welcome back to Stories for Kids. Last day we started this Akbar Birbals series. So here, I think last day we read 4-5 stories. If you have not listened to last day's podcast, so day before yesterday, so you can go and check the last day's podcast where I started reading these Akbar Birbal stories. And there you will know that how Birbal started his journey as a minister of Akbar. So the first story of today is the magic sticks. Once upon a time, there lived a rich oil merchant in the great city of Fatehpur Sikri. He had gifted a diamond necklace to his wife, which made her very happy. The necklace was very costly and the woman loved it very much. She would often wear it to attend the parties and special occasions when her friends came to visit her. So the necklace became famous as many women admired it. But one day when the wife woke up in the morning, she could not find the necklace anymore. She searched and searched for it, but the necklace could not be seen anywhere. Thus, it was concluded that the necklace has been stolen. The merchant sent his guards to find out who had stolen it. The guards searched for the thief, but whoever had stolen it was very clever. He had left no clue for the guards. The guards could not find out who had stolen the necklace. It made the wife very sad. The merchant began to worry about his wife's health. Left with no option, he called upon Birbal to solve the case. Birbal was a good friend of the merchant's. One day he came over for dinner. He said, the diamond necklace was in the lady's cupboard at all times. It was stolen. It must be done by some of your servants. Call all your servants here. I must talk to them. The servants were called to the dining hall. Birbal said to all the servants, I have some magic sticks here. I will give 2 sticks of each of you. Give it back to me tomorrow. One of the servants said, but how would you find out who is the thief by using these sticks? Birbal said, these are no ordinary sticks. The sticks for the thief will grow in 2 inches overnight. So when I measure all your sticks tomorrow, I will know who the thief is. The merchant was surprised, but he did not say anything. The next day, the servant brought back the sticks to Birbal. Birbal measured the sticks one by one and said to the merchant, your cook is your thief. Everyone was surprised. The merchant said, how can you say that? Birbal replied, the sticks I gave him are short by 2 inches. He thought that since he is the thief, the sticks would grow by 2 inches. So he cut them 2 inches so as not to get caught. The merchant laughed. Ha ha ha. The cook had to give the necklace back. He lost his job. Everyone praised Birbal for his intelligence. Wow, now you can see how Birbal solved this interesting puzzle or interesting cases. The next story is Owner of the Money Bag. Once in a city of Agra, there lived a butcher. He was an honest man who never set high price or adulterated the meat he sold. So he had many customers, for he sold the finest meat in the city. Everyone in the city knew about his shop and they often recommended the shop to their friends and family. On festivals, his shop would be flooded by people and the butcher would be busy all day serving them. On one such day, a grain merchant came to the butcher's shop. The butcher was counting his money then. The merchant asked for a kg of meat. The butcher placed his money bag on the counter and left to get the meat from the store. But when he returned, he was surprised. He saw that the money bag was now with the merchant and he was paying for the meat from it. The butcher was very angry. He said, excuse me, sir, I think you have stolen my money bag. I have left it on the counter before I went to get the meat. The merchant said, how dare you call me a thief? This is my money bag. I bought it with me to the shop. The butcher said, how can I believe you have not taken my bag from the counter? The merchant replied, how can I believe you had left your bag on the counter? You might be making it up so that I am forced to give my bag to you." A fight broke out between the butcher and the merchant. Many people gathered around them. Finally, someone suggested that they went to Birbal. They would find a way of solving this problem. So the merchant and the butcher went to Birbal. Birbal carefully studied the money bag. Then he asked the merchant, "Do you deal in blood?" The merchant was puzzled. He said, "No, sir, I deal in grains. I am scared of blood so much that it makes me feel dizzy. I try to stay away from it as much as possible." Birbal smiled and handed the bag to the butcher. Birbal said, "The bag has blood stain on it. Some of the coins are also stained with blood. If you are so afraid of blood, the bag can't belong to you, can it?" The merchant was punished for stealing. The butcher thanked Birbal and went back to his shop happily. The next story is Dishonest Judge. Akbar's kingdom was very large, so he appointed judges who would help people who faced various problems in the city. One day, a woman went to one such judge with a bag of gold coins. She said, "Sir, this is my life saving. I am not going on a pilgrimage." No. One day, one woman went to such judge to a bag of no. One day, a woman went to one such judge with one bag of gold coins. She said, "Sir, this is my life saving. I am going on a pilgrimage and I can't carry so much money with me. Please keep this bag safely with you until I return." The judge kept the bag and bade farewell to the woman. After a month, the woman returned. She went straight to the judge and collected the bag. But when she went home and removed the seal, she saw that the bag contained flat stones. Her gold coins had vanished. She went to the judge and started arguing. The judge said, "Wicked woman, you have filled stones in the bank and now you want me to pay you?" She had no other way. She ran to the emperor's court for justice. When Akbar heard her story, he was puzzled. The judge was an old and powerful man. Akbar could not punish him without a witness. So he called Birbal and explained everything to him. Birbal thought for a while and said to the emperor, "My lord, tear your bedsheet today before you go to bed. Shall I solve the case tomorrow?" The next day, Akbar told Birbal that he had done exactly as Birbal had asked him to do. But before he got up, he saw that the bedsheet was like new again. Birbal smiled and said, "Jahapana, give me 10 minutes. I will bring your witness to you." After 10 minutes, Birbal brought an old tailor to the court. The tailor said, "Yes, your majesty, the old judge has bought a bag for me to sew. I did not understand why he needed to put flat stone in it before having it sewn." The woman brought out the bag and asked the tailor, "Was this the bag?" The tailor nodded. Akbar called for the judge and asked him to return the money. He then offered 50 lashes to be given to the judge for cheating. Akbar asked Birbal how he found out about the tailor. Birbal said, "My lord, when you said that your bedsheet was as good as new in the morning, I asked the maid who cleaned your room about the tailor she had gone to get the bedsheet stitched. I found that this old man was the only tailor in the city who could stitch and make things as good as new. So I guessed he must have stitched the bag of coins which the judge had ripped apart to take the coin out." Akbar praised Birbal's wisdom when he heard this story. The next story is Miser's Merchant. In Akbar's kingdom lived a man called Harinath. Harinath was a gifted painter. He would make portraits and earn his living. Because he was very good at making portraits, he was very popular in the city. Rich people from far and wide would request him to make portraits for them. But Harinath would take a long time to make a portrait, for he was very careful with the details. Thus, though his portraits were very lifelike, he could not earn enough money for them. Also, the money earned would go into buying of raw materials for the painting. One day, a very rich merchant invited Harinath to make a portrait of him. Harinath went to merchant's house, hoping he would be paid well for his work. He stayed there for days, working hard to satisfy the merchant with the painting. But the merchant was a miser. When after days of hard work the portrait was complete, Harinath brought it to the merchant. But the miserly merchant thought to himself, "The painting is indeed very good, but if I appreciate its beauty, I will have to pay 100 gold coins to Harinath." So the merchant began to find faults with it. He said, "You have sown grey hair and made me look like an old man. I am not going to pay you." Harinath was surprised, for he did not know that merchant was finding faults with the painting so that he would not have to pay Harinath. Harinath said, "My lord, I will retouch the painting if you want." So he worked at covering all the grey hairs in the portrait. But when the merchant saw the painting after the retouching, he found more faults with it. He said, "One of my eyes is smaller than other. I will not pay you for this rubbish." Harinath offered to retouch the painting further. He went on for quite some days. Every time Harinath took the painting to the merchant, he found more faults with it. Finally, Harinath grew tired of the merchant. He went to Birbal for help. Birbal asked Harinath to invite the merchant to Birbal's house. Birbal said to the merchant, "This man says he had drawn a lifelike portrait for you exactly the way you wanted, but you did not like it." The merchant said, "That's correct, my lord. The portrait did not look like me at all." Birbal said, "Fine, Harinath, make another portrait of this man and make it look exactly like him." He then turned to the merchant and said, "Please come and collect it tomorrow, but you will have to pay 1,000 gold coins for it because I will be watching Harinath while he makes it so that there are no faults." The merchant thought, "A portrait made in a day will have many faults. I will not have to work hard to find those faults." Next day when he came, Birbal took the merchant to a room. A portrait stood in the room. It was covered by a cloth. When the merchant removed the cloth, he was astonished. It was not a portrait at all, but a mirror. Birbal said, "This looks exactly like you, doesn't it? I hope you will not find any faults with it." The merchant realized that Birbal had won. He had to pay the 100 gold coins for the portrait as well as 1,000 gold coins for the mirror. So now I am going to read the last story for the day. This is Birbal's journey to heaven. When Birbal joined Akbar's court, some of the ministers at Akbar's court were not happy. Akbar had begun to favor Birbal more. This made the ministers very jealous of Birbal. They decided to take the help of a royal barber. The barber was a poor man. He did not want to be involved in the evil plan of the ministers, but they presented him with a bag of gold, which he could not resist. So he agreed to help. One day, as he was giving the emperor a haircut, he said, "Jahapana, I had a dream last night. Your father came in my dream and said that he was doing well in heaven. He has asked you not to worry." The emperor became sad when he heard this. His father has died when he was very young. He used to miss his father very much. He asked, "What else did my father say? Tell me everything." The barber said, "Jahapana, he said that he was fine, only a bit bored. He said, if you can send Birbal to him, it would make him very happy. He watches Birbal from the heavens and praises him for his wit and humor." Akbar called Birbal at once. He said, "Dear Birbal, I am really very fond of you, so it makes very sad to send you to my father who is not in heaven. But he has asked for you. You must go to heaven and entertain him." Birbal was very shocked when he heard this. Later he learned from the servant that it was a plan by the minister and the barber. He dug a grave near his home, and from the grave he dug a tunnel which led to his living room. Then he went to Akbar and said, "Your Majesty, I am ready to go to heaven, but we have a family tradition that we all are buried outside our home. I have already arranged for the grave. I request you to have me buried alive there." Akbar granted Birbal's wish. Birbal was buried alive. Birbal escaped from the grave through the tunnel and came home. He then stayed in his house for 3 weeks. After 3 weeks, he went to Akbar's court. Everyone was surprised to see Birbal. Akbar said, "When did you come back from heaven? How is my father, and why do you look so shabby?" Birbal said, "My lord, your father is fine. He has sent you his blessings. But Jahapana, there are no barbers in heaven. That's why I look so shabby. If you would be kind to send the royal barber to your father, it would make him very happy." The emperor at once ordered the barber to be buried alive and sent to heaven. The barber fell at Akbar's feet and begged, "Oh no, I don't want to die, I don't want to die. I was tricked into this wicked plan." He confessed everything. Akbar banished all the ministers who tried to trick Akbar into killing his favorite minister. The barber got 10 lashes as a punishment. As for Birbal, he continued to live in the court as the emperor's advisor and the closest friend. So with this, I am closing this episode. Did you like it? Please press the like button and share it with your friends and family. And if you want to be part of Creative Thinking Academy, where I read books directly live and we question each other's and we have lot of fun activities, while doing those fun activities, our creative thinking actually got boost. So if you want to be part of Creative Thinking Academy, you can click the below link and attend one free session and see how your creative thinking can be improved by playing various games. Thank you for listening. Bye bye.